And even as we come in, I would like to request all the people who are coming in now, kindly take the seats at the front. Tafadhali kujeni mkae huku mbele, ili tuweze kuoccupy na tuweze kuzungumza na sauti yetu iweze kusikika katika bunge hili la mashinani ambalo ni Citizens Assembly. Karibuni sana. Nikisema Citizens Assembly, mnasema Voice of the People. Citizens Assembly. Citizens Assembly. Voice of the People. Voice of the People. My name is Fusani, and I will be taking you through today's process. And we have such an incredible panelists who will be coming, but also we are engaging all of us who are here in the crowd today. So it's not about the people who will be coming here to speak, it's also about us and our voice and what we have to say about what is happening in the country. As we have seen in Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya, it says, all sovereign power, and the people shall be able to practice this sovereign power either directly or indirectly. And it's because of this that we are here today, to be able to speak out. We have seen from the 18th of June, young people in this country who are able to go out on the streets to be able to speak out about governance, to speak out about the ongoings of this country and where we should be going. And even us as young people, as we were out on the streets, we have seen some reforms, at least when it came to the repeal of the finance bill and other things that the young people asked for. But there were other things that we also did not ask for. We have seen abductions of a lot of young people who are on the streets. We have seen people who have died. Tumeona ama tujaona? Tumeona ama tujaona? Nao watu wako kati yetu ama hawako kati yetu? Ndio, tumeona watu ambao, people who have been sick in the hospitals, those who have died, those who have been and continue to be abducted, the laws that we were fighting for in this country. Did we get them or did we not get them? Did we get them? Tulipata? Tuko na sauti? Citizens Assembly? Citizens Assembly? Voice of the people. Voice of the people. So we are here today because what is it that took us out to the streets? Have we achieved it? And what is happening today? But more than that, where do we want to go? So if you are here and you have somebody mwenye ako katika police station, somebody who is lost, you don't know where they are, somebody who has died, how has it affected you? Where do you want us to go? This is the voice of the people that we want to hear today. And even as I finish my opening remark, I would like to say that there can be nothing about us without us. And that is why we are here today. Kwa sababu inatuhusu, si ndio? Hakuwezi kuwa na jambo ambalo linatuhusu bila sisi kuhusishwa. Na ndio maana tuko hapa kuhusishwa na kujihusisha katika mambo ambayo yanaendelea katika nchi hii. Tukiongea kuhusu mambo ya uchumi, tukiongea kuhusu mambo ya kisiasa, tuko hapa leo kuzungumza na kusema kwamba sisi kama Wakenya, kama vijana, kama wamama, tunataka kwenda wapi. Lakini pia tuko wapi sahi? Citizens Assembly. Voice of the people. Haya. Na pia tunataka kuulizwa maswali nyeti leo kuhusu usanii. Tumesikia kwamba sanaa ni kioo cha jamii. Watu wangapi walifanya anguka nayo challenge? Nani alifanya anguka nayo? One person. At least kuna mtu alianguka kidogo. Reverend Father, haukuanguka nayo? Kaskazini? Ulianguka au la? Madam President LSK, ulianguka nayo? Kabisa. Kwa hivyo tumeona what is the role of art. Art inatusaidia aje katika hii mapambano ambayo tuko nayo. Na swali tunataka kuuliza leo pia, is art neutral? Is art neutral? Kwa hivyo hayo ni maswali ambayo tunataka kuzungumzia leo. Tukizungumzia mambo ya teknolojia. Teknolojia inasaidia vipi katika mapambano? Tumeona watu wengi ambao wameweza kuenda katika social media na kutumia social media kuweza kuadvance mambo ya teknolojia. Kwa hivyo tunauliza, what is the role of technology? Pia tumeona Reverend Father amekuja hapa. Tunataka kuuliza kanisa kama civil society. Si ndio? Tuko na maswali kwa kanisa. Tunataka kusikiliza kanisa. We want to hear the voice of the church. Where do you stand? We saw the church coming in a lot when it came to the time of electing our leaders. The church had a voice. So now that we are having these happenings in our country, where is the voice of the church as a civil society? What is the role of the church? First of all, does the church have a role? So those are the things we want to hear today. And if they have a role, what is it? When it comes to the young people, naona tuko na kaskazini hapa, najua mmemuona sana. What is the role of the young people? Both as Gen Z, as millennials, as the people who are going on the streets. Kazi yetu tu ni kuenda kuimba hapo reject finance bill. Kazi yetu ni nini? What is our mandate and where do we want to go from here? But also, how do we get justice? How do we get justice for what has happened? And how do we move on? I have seen that some people who are saying, we cannot look at our future if we have not looked at our now. Kweli si kweli? Kweli si kweli? Kwa hivyo, hayo ndo maswali ambayo tuko hapa kujibu leo. Na vile nilivyosema, it is not about us listening to people giving input. We listen, but it is also about us giving our voice. Citizens Assembly, voice of the people. My voice, voice of the people. My voice, voice of the people. Viva, comrades, viva. Viva, comrades, viva. Now I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor of the Catholic University to be able to welcome us and to say something. Karibu sana. Makofi as he comes.
Huh?
Thank you very much for inviting me to say a few things. Ms. Faith Odhiambo, President of the Law Society of Kenya, the representatives from International Commission of Justice, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, Independent Medical Legal Unit, Amnesty International, Defenders Coalition, all protocols observed. Good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the Catholic University of Eastern Africa on behalf of the management, the staff, and the students fraternity, some of them who are here. I wish to welcome you to this institution and to ask you to feel much at home. I am also grateful for your invitation to address this Citizens Assembly. I am in awe and humbled by the Law Society of Kenya for organizing the assembly and grateful to the LSK President, Ms. Faith Odhiambo, for her stand for justice, especially in the wake of recent protests in our country, Kenya. We are deeply impressed that you, an alumni of our university here, are living the values that we inculcated to you when you are a student of law in our esteemed university. We are forever grateful that you have chosen the Catholic University of Eastern Africa Pope Paul VI Learning Resource Center to hold this event. Allow us as a university to take this opportunity to condole with the families that have lost their loved ones during the ongoing protests. Please be assured that CUEA stands for constitutionalism, entrenchment of the rule of law, and justice. We also wish those who have been injured and maimed a quick recovery so that they may join the nation in building a nation of justice and peace. Our commitment to these values is emphasized by the fact that our university hosts the Center for Social Justice and Ethics, where undergraduate and postgraduate programs in justice and peace are offered. We firmly believe in the word of our national anthem that says, "Let justice be our shield." Allow me also to say that the recent events have brought a lot of transformation in our country, and we see a lot of happening and a lot yet to happen in our nation. Let me say that the church has been very much voicing their concerns in these issues. You have seen the statements from various religious leaders, from the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, condemning what is going on against the citizens, the killings, the abductions, and the lack of constitutionalism in what is happening today. Allow me also to condemn those who have been moving under the goons that have been trying to weaken the voice of our young people by doing what is not right. Last week, I was a victim of the goons. I was coming from Mombasa and reaching Motito-Wandei. From Motito-Wandei to Emali, I passed through 7 roadblocks of drunks who were literally smashing the windshields of vehicles. Maybe God protected me. You could not pass there without paying them some money. It was a very serious issue. So I am a first-hand victim of the unlawlessness that is being also funded by part of our citizens or leadership to ensure that the process is disrupted. I also wish to let you know that we pray for you as a church. We also discuss these events with our students. We teach them the values, the constitutionalism at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, so that they may continue to champion what is good for us. Even our president of the Students' Union is here. He's seated someplace. He can wave at the family that is here this morning. So I wish you well, and may these discussions be candid. Let them articulate the things that the assembly would like to present, and I'm sure that the church is also going to listen and to take them up and to join in the hands to ensure that the right governance, the right practices, the death of corruption is experienced during this time. So again, I wish you a wonderful day. May God bless you. May God protect you. And may God give you the courage that it takes to express yourselves so that the LSK and the other bodies here present might have something that forms the agenda for the transformation of our nation. Again, thank you very much, Madam President and your team. We are very proud that you are our alumni, And thank you very much for championing this just cause. We stand with you as a university, and anytime you need our resources, we'll give them to you. Thank you. God bless you. Asante.
Is using AI to help you produce better music cheating, or is it just the future? Let me ask you this.
Thank you so much for being with us here on the second edition of the Citizen Assembly. In just a few moments, we're going to be speaking to somebody who went through pain and agony that was absolutely unnecessary. We'll be getting her story shortly, but for now, I'd like to paint the context of why we're here today. So allow me a few minutes to set the tone. The plight of Kenyan youth remains uncertain. The wave of the deaths of dozens of young people as law enforcement officers crack down on protests countrywide have left the citizen broken and divided. Extrajudicial executions continue unabated. Shooting of unarmed young peaceful protesters is the new norm during youth-led protests. From deaths resulting from torture and police brutality on the streets to enforced disappearances and police abductions, the rule of law has been dealt a major blow by an arbitrarian and authoritarian regime that has managed to weaponize the police and officers from the Kenya Defense Forces against its own citizens, eroding any trust that locals had in the security agencies to maintain law and order. Whereas the right to picket remains enshrined in Article 37 of the Kenyan Constitution, there are concerns over how security forces respond to demonstrations led by Gen Z and millennials. News about a section of the opposition politicians going to bed with the ruling coalition has sent mixed reactions in a country polarized along tribe, ethnicity, race, religion, and social class. As national and county leaders spend time on politics, the Kenyan youth feel largely ignored and undermined on issues of public interest and legislation. The Law Society of Kenya President Faith Odhiambo has, on the other hand, waged a steadfast justice quest for the victims of police brutality. LSK, in conjunction with Amnesty International, Independent Medical Legal Unit, Defenders Coalition, Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, International Commission of Jurists, Haki Africa, and other human rights defenders have consistently been the first responders to citizens in distress. The youthful activists gradually feel accepted and accommodated by such groups and accommodations and organizations. Now, a number of the young people who keep demonstrating every Tuesday and Thursday have been captured by both local and international media, crying out for a listening ear. Most of the protesters vent their anger and frustration over a regime that has remained tone deaf. Yet, the protesters need a listening and empathetic platform with ability to convert their frustrations encapsulated in their non-negotiables to pragmatic and implementable solutions. The first steps of finding solutions must be directly derived from direct engagement with the relevant parties across the country. The need to seek justice for all victims remains paramount, and the first step towards peace is first justice for all victims and affected persons. And to realize any meaningful change, the youth must be given a platform to talk and be allowed to vent and be listened to. Now, Citizen Assembly seeks to act as a bridge towards a better, safe, and peaceful Kenya. So welcome to this edition. I'm Janet Mbugua, and today we convene amidst profound sorrow and righteous anger as our city streets, once symbols of democracy, have turned into battlegrounds where many protesters have been met with hostility and even death. Our government has failed us, resorting to political maneuvers instead of genuine leadership, with inept ministers leaving our nation adrift. Yet, we refuse to be silenced. We're here to uphold the dream of a just society through civic education, public participation in policy making, and holding our leaders accountable. We also pledge to report and remember those who are missing, abducted, or injured. Our unity, voices, and actions will reclaim our nation. And today we will hear from survivors, human rights defenders, citizen journalists, and more. We encourage you to continue to share this conversation online and engage with us. And this can be across the Citizen Assembly platforms, on YouTube and other platforms. So make sure you're also using the hashtag Citizen Assembly and continue to share your own thoughts on all the happenings unfolding in our country. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we are joined by somebody who had to see firsthand loss and death. This is Mama Rex, and we're going to have a short conversation with her just to walk us through what it really means when we say that we need fairness and justice on our streets. Mama Rex, asante sana kwa kuwa nasi.
Asante.
Tuanze na kukuuliza, tuelezee vile unasikia.
Okay, kwa sasa sijakubali kama ukweli. Huyo ni mtoto wangu aliuliwa kwa street akiwa bila kosa lolote. Na kuwa serikali haijachukua hatua yoyote hata kumshika ule mwenye ambaye alimpiga hiyo risasi. Nina huzuni bado moyoni.
Pole sana.
Asante.
Asante pia kwa kutuongelesha juu ni muhimu tusikie juu watu wengi wanaongea juu ya extrajudicial killings. Tumeona watu wengi wamekufa. Kabla tuongee kuhusu hiyo support unapata. Tell us a bit about Rex. Rex alikuwa, what was he like as a boy?
Rex ni mtoto ambaye nimemlea kwa njia ya tuseme ya wokovu. Rex ni mtu ambaye alikuwa kijana mpole sana. Kwa wale ambao walimjua wanaweza sema Rex alikuwa mtu mzuri, alikuwa mtoto mtiifu. Hakuwa na ile tunaweza sema ana uchokozi wowote. Ni mtu alikaa na watu vizuri, na hata hiyo jambo imenifanya nikafurahi kwa roho kiasi kwa ile upendo nilionyeshwa na wananchi wakati wa kifo chake. Hakuwahi gombana na mtu yoyote, na angekukosea angekuja straight akwambia, sitaki kukubeba rohoni, umenikosea hivi na hivi, akuombe msamaha kama ni amekukosea. Sijaisikia jambo mbaya na Rex, na hajai kuwa ati ameshikwa wakati wote ati na mkono wa serikali ati ana makosa yoyote. So hiyo ya risasi ilinishtua sana.
Haku deserve, na hata wenye watu ambao wamekuwa affected ni kitu mbaya sana. Tunakuongelesha juu when ni mom umekuwa part of this movement sana. Hiyo siku Rex alienda kwa maandamano. Tuelezee kama mlikuwa umeongea, na kama mlikuwa umeongea alikuwa amesemaje?
Okay, Rex hatukuwa tumeongea juu kwa umri wake alikuwa ashatoka kwangu tayari. Ni mtu anajikalisha, ana kazi yake. So tulikuwa tumeongea like 3 days ago. Akatuambia, mam, kuna kitu napata, nataka nikubostie biashara yako, naona iko chini. So alikuwa na ile roho akikuja pale dukani kwangu, mami, duka ikaipoa, nataka kufanyia kitu atakani kidogo. So hiyo Thursday rafiki yake nilipokea simu ile yake. So nilikuwa tu najua huyu ni mtoto wangu. Nikamwambia, sema Rex. Sauti nilipokea pale, mam si Rex, mam si Rex. Nikamuuliza ni nani? Mam ni George. Ni nini mbaya? Mam ni Rex. Nikamwambia, hapana, hebu niambie kuna nini? Ni mgonjwa? Ati hapana mam, si mgonjwa. Na mbona sauti yako iko mbaya hivyo? Mam, sijui venye nitaanza kuelezea, but mam, si kuzuri. Nikamuuliza kuna shida gani? Rex ameshutiwa town. Nikamuuliza mlikuwa mnafanya nini town? Ati mam, tulitoka kazini, tulikuwa tunaelekea afya center. So walishuka 680. Sasa ile wanakuja kwa mguu waende afya center. So wakapatana nayo maandamano. Ati tulikuwa tumeambiana in case kuwe kubaya tukutane wapi? Afya center. But wakati tukifika place tukaona watu wanakimbia. Kwanza wakapigwa tear gas. Sasa ile kukimbia wanateremka waende afya center. Wakaachania hapo. Sasa mwenzake kuangalia nyuma naona Rex analimp. Sasa ile anataka kujaribu kurudi nyuma, wakapigwa tear gas nyingine. Yeye akakimbia. obvious hataweka ni wewe haungerudi. So akakimbia akaenda but roho yake iko nyuma. Akaenda akajificha mahali. Akaona Rex amelimpa amekaa wapi chini. Akajua maybe ameanguka akaumia ile watu wanakimbia.
Hi, looking for an easy and profitable monetization option with super high CPM rates? It seems Monetag SmartLink is exactly what you need. What is SmartLink or Direct Link? SmartLink is one of Monetag's most profitable ad formats. In a nutshell, it is a special link that automatically redirects the user to the most relevant offer. Also, SmartLink works with every traffic type. So don't hesitate to try it with free social media and messengers traffic, website organic and direct traffic, paid traffic, remnant traffic. How does SmartLink work? SmartLink is very profitable, but also very easy to use. Just take one link and start earning big in just a few steps. Step 1.
Akatafuta njia kurudi nyuma. So akati akirudi nyuma, akapata Rex amebleed kabisa. Akaambia watu walikuwa karibu, tusaidieni, huyu mwenzangu ameumia. Watu walikuwa wanapita tu. So polisi ndio walikuja akaambia tusaidieni, huyu ameumia. Ile jibu walipokea, mwacha kufe huko. Wacha wewe akufe na tunataka wengine. So kuna wasamaria tu wale wema, vijana wetu, roju wakaenda. Wakabeba Rex. Wakamfikisha barabara. Kuna hiyo hospitali inajiita Bliss. Wakamuingiza hapo ndani. Wale askari wakamfuata hapo kwa mlango ya hospitali. Tia gas tena ndani. Sasa madaktari wakafunga mlango. But mzuri already walikuwa ndani. So ile kwenda kumpe first aid. Akamwambia huyu hayuko. Huyu ashaenda. So I think hapo ndio kijana akachukua simu kunipigia. Akaniambia mama, Rex amepigwa risasi na ametuacha. Nilikuwa na ule mdogo. Mimi huwa na pressure.
Kuna nguvu kuendelea kuongea?
Nilichoka. Nikakaa chini. Nikamwambia ule mdogo, nikamwambia funga duka. Akaniambia mama ni nini? Nikamwambia mama, si umesikia? Rex ameshutiwa. Akaniambia amekufa. Nikamwambia mtoto akafunga duka. Nikapigia babake. Nikamwambia mtoto ameshutiwa. Ako kwa kliniki fulani town, tukimbie, maybe hajakufa. Unajua ile mzazi, maybe ako unconscious, maybe hajakufa. Akaniambia basi harakisha tuende. Nikapigia ndugu yake mdogo. Akaniambia mama, kaa hapo, najua shida yako. Kaa hapo usitoke. Nikamwambia niko na nguvu, acha nifike kwa nyumba. Tukaenda tukakutana, tukaenda hospitali hapo. Tukaingia hapo Bliss, tukampata hapo tu chini. Daktari akaniambia huyu aliletwa hapa tayari kama ashafariki. Kaambia daktari, fanya jambo. Mimi naona mtoto wangu hajaenda. Sasa ile kumguza alikuwa shakuwa baridi kabisa. Kaambia daktari, mimi sioni kama ameenda. Huyu hajaenda. Akaniambia mama, huyu hayuko. So next nikauliza what next? Ati hata kuna askari wametoka hapa wamesema wanarudi. Nikauliza walikuwa wamekuja kufanya nini kama wenyewe ndio wamemuua? Ati walikuja kuconfirm kama amekufa. Nikaambia sasa tunaweza beba mtoto wangu? Ya kwanza wakaniambia yes. Unasikia? Hata mimi na organize venye mtoto wangu tutamtoa hapo chini. Unajua it's so painful kuna mtoto wako kwa tiles. Mimi nilikaa hapo chini na nikamwambia ile uchungu wa mzazi, acha nikaenda mtoto wangu hapa. So nimekubaliwa nibebe mtoto. Kidogo daktari anakuja ananiambia hii ni police case, hizi bebwa. Nikamwambia nataka kumpeleka wapi? Jua wamekuja na jua ndio wamemua, nataka kumpeleka wapi? Atio, unajua since ameuliwa kwa street lazima kuandikwe statement. Tukakaa hapo like 3 hours za kukuja. Sasa ile naambia mtu hapo mkaripoti tubebe mwili juu sisikii vizuri kwa na mtoto wangu hapa chini. Senye wanatoka pia polisi walikuwa hapo nje. Hatu wamekujia mwili. Nikauliza shwali, huyu ninyi mmemuua na singependa mpeleke city mortuary. Mnaweza kubali ni mbebe? Hata haiwezekani. Nikauliza kwa nini? Hati maybe wao tufuate, lazima ingetu city mortuary. So kabla wambebe nikamwambia daktari, ngoja. Alikuwa amebeba kabag. Nikamwambia nitolee hii bag. Nikamwambia hapana, nataka kwanza kuona hiyo risasi imepita wapi. Wakamvua trouser, wakanyonyesha pali risasi yuko. Nikamwambia daktari, mbona huku nyuma hako tu sawa? Akaniambia risasi bado iko ndani. Unasikia? Kuniambia risasi iko ndani, akafinya the thigh. Akaniambia unaona hii kitu ngumu iko hapa? Hiyo ni risasi. Nikamwambia haiwezi toka. Akaniambia hapana, hiyo ni police case, lazima apelekwe mortuary, city mortuary. Asubuhi mrauke by 8 mko hapo, afanywe postmortem ndio mtoe mpeleke kwenye mnataka. Nikamwambia sawa. So hapo tukaandikiwa report. Nikaona askari wameingia wanaongea nao madaktari. Mimi kitu nilipewa ni ID ya mtoto wangu. Nikamwambia daktari, kwani hakuna barua? Akaniambia wacha nikuandikie. Janet, nilipewa barua ati alikuwa na deep wound.
Sio gunshot.
Kasema tu kwa wakati huo nikachukua tu nikaenda. Tukaenda city mortuary kumweka huko. So mimi kwa roho yangu nilijua mtoto ako na risasi pale. So asubuhi tunafaa kufika hapo by 2:00 itolewe tukiwa hapo. Tulifika asubuhi. Hakuna government pathologist, hakuna sijui nani, tungoje. So tukingoja pale Mheshimiwa Ketera akafika wa kwanza. Akaniambia wewe ndio mzazi wa Rex? Akaniambia nasikia mnataka kufanya postmortem. Nikamwambia ndio. Akaniambia mnangoja? Akaniambia kuna government pathologist na kuna private pathologist. Nasikia government pathologist hajafika. Tukiongea hapo Mheshimiwa Sifuna akafika. Nikamwambia pole mama nini? Nikamwambia mtoto alishutiwa pale town. Tukamleta na singependa kae hapa. Niambia basi tungoje afanywe postmortem ndio atolewe. Kidogo Mheshimiwa Babu Owino sasa ndiye amesimamia huko kwetu. Akafika. Akatuuliza kuna kitu mnangoja? Tukamwambia yes. Tunangojea government pathologist hajafika. Pia wakatusaidia kungoja. So by midday hakuwa amefika. Wakaulizwa shida ni wenye walibeba mwili askari hawapatikani. Aje sasa, na tulikuwa hapa tukiandikisha statement wote. Akasema tutangoja. So kama sio ile push ya Mheshimiwa Sifuna, nafikiri hata wangefika. Alipusha akamwambia sasa this is too much. Kuanzia 2:00 sasa ni 7:00 saa 8 naelekea. Kidogo tukaambiwa wamefika wamepitia wapi, na tulikuwa kwa gate. Kumaanisha walikuwa ndani. Tukasema sawa, tukaitwa. aende afanywe hiyo postmortem. All along mtoto alikuwa tu hapo kwa hiyo bed yao. Kufika ndani Janet hakuna risasi. Ilitolewa saa ngapi? Ati unajua mtu akishutiwa inapita nyuma inatokea mbele. Hiyo nikaa ilianguka kwa street. Aje. Na kijana wangu mwenye anamfuata alirudi mpaka hiyo spot alishutiwa. Akaokota miwani zake na wallet yake hapo. Tukaambia na kwani ule daktari wa Bliss alikuwa mjinga. Akafinya mpaka tukaona kitu sharp imejichora. Akatuambia hiyo hamkuona kitu, maybe hiyo ni blood clot. Nikaambia Mungu ashaenda. Wakafanya hizo mashughuli zao. Tukatoa mtoto. Na usaidizi wa Mr. Sifuna. Tukampeleka Lee funeral. Before tufike Lee funeral, Mheshimiwa Wavinya Ndeti akasema yeye ndiye atasimamia hiyo bili ya Lee funeral. Nikaambia asante mama, tunashukuru.
Yeye pia walianza kusupport.
Walianza kusupport hapo. Tukifika Lee funeral ukweli tulimpata. Tukaongea 2-3. From there akatuambia anything inatakikana hapa msikuwe na shida, ni mimi. Bill zote za hapa ni mimi. Kupeleka mwili nyumbani ni mimi, kila kitu nitawasimamia.
Na ilikuwa hivyo mpaka
hakuna mtu wa kucomply. MAMCA wa mtaani walitusaidia
mpaka ulimzika. Okay. Mama Rex, unajua unatuelezea na ni kama vile tu watu wameanza kusikia hiyo frustration na watu kuwa harass na kuuliwa. Tukiwind up, kwanza nataka utupeleke from ulimzika, si ndio? Alafu nataka uongee kuhusu hii mambo bado inaendelea. Rex ni yule mtu ambao alileta hii kitu to the limelight, yeah? But I think tuelezee what needs to happen, Mama Rex. Unataka kuambia vijana nini juu watu bado wanaendelea kwenda kwa streets kuprotest, wanasumbuliwa, wanauliwa. Ungependa kuambia vijana nini na serikali nini?
Okay. Kulingana na kifo cha Rex, maybe alileta mwanga kwa wale maybe wengine walikuwa shauliwa na wenye hawakujulikana. Rex wakati ameaga nimepokea simu mingi. Rex alikuwa mwizi. Nikamwambia mwizi kuja mpaka mali alianzia utotoni mpaka pale amegrow, mpaka pale alikuwa anaishi kama kuna kesi yoyote. Rex alikuwa mmoja wa kuandamana. Nikamwambia hapana, alitoka job on that fateful day na walikuwa na shughuli zao. Nasikia walikuwa wamepanga ka birthday, so maybe walikuwa nakujia hizo vitu zao za vijana town. Ilikuwaje akapatikana kwa maandamano? Nikamwambia hata mimi sasa nitoke kwangu naenda town nipatikane na maandamano, sijaenda kuandamana, nimeenda shughuli zangu. So kuna vikundi zimeniitisha mashahidi aipoa. Nikamwambia aipoa, kuna huyu kijana alinipigia simu anaitwa George, anaogopa kutoa inaitwa ushahidi kulingana na venye kuko sahi. Unaenda unatoa ushahidi unakuwa abducted. So mamake amemwambia asimpate akitoa hizo ushahidi. Sasa inakuwa ni kama mimi nitaforce mtoto wenyewe, alafu akipata shida itakuwa ni mimi. So hajakuwa able kutoa ile ushahidi. But ushahidi ni gani tunataka sasa hizi? Footage ziko pale town. Mpaka venye polisi alikuwa anashoot, mpaka venye Rex pale alilemewa. Kuna ushahidi mwingine gani tunaweza taka? Kwa wazazi ambao watoto wamedhulumiwa, kifo, majeraha, ulemavu wa maisha, at least wanafaa waongee. Juu kuna mtu kama mimi sijaipenda, sijaikuwa kwa media, nimekuwa kwa media na hii kifo ya mtoto wangu. Kuna wale wazazi ni wanyonge. Unapata mzazi mtoto wake amepatikana ameuliwa, anasema ni ya Mungu. Mtoto atupwe Lang'ata, sababu ya nini? Hana uwezo. Hata ukijua fulani ndiye ameua mtoto wako, huyo fulani ako covered na serikali, atapatikana kivipi? Wewe mwananchi mdogo utabishana na serikali? Uwezi. Na kwa tuseme mimi at least ule askari alionekana na wanamjua, na bado alishutwa na vya media group, si ndio? Hakuna kitu amefanyiwa. Mtu kama huyo akuja ni threaten, nitaongea? Sitaongea. Nitajikunja kama maji kwa mtungi, ni nyamaze. Ingekuwa mzuri venye vijana wamejitokeza, walete ule mwanga, waseme hatutaki kuuliwa tena. Juu hakuna mzazi uzaa mtoto asubuhi kesho useme mtoto wangu ameuliwa, ni sawa. Hakuna. Na hakuna mtoto tuseme hata sasa niseme nataka kuzaa, sita replace Rex. Nitaishi na ile uchungu, na hakuna haja mzazi mwingine apitie kitu yenye nimepitia. Juu nakuja kwa media, mama Rex juu yako hivi, baba Rex ako hivi. Hakuna mtu ananijua. Maybe mtu ananijua ni watu wa estate. But ukikuja huku nje, mama Rex alifanya. Si mzuri. I'm still mourning.
Yeah.
Okay, nimesikia ushahidi hakuna. But bado najua mtoto wangu atapata justice. Ule Mungu naomba, nijua nitapata justice.
Asante Mama Rex. Na pole sana. Pole sana. Asante kwa kutuelezea. Tutaendelea tu kucarry hiyo legacy ya Rex.
Asante.
And just like you said, we need justice for Rex and for so many others.
Na wengine wote. Yeah. Jua kuna Rex sio special, na wengine wote ni watoto wa watu.
For now we honor your son.
Asante.
Asante sana kwa kutuongelesha. Tunaomba utapata consolation, uendelee kuheal. Asante sana Mama Rex.
Nashukuru.
Tunashukuru sana.
Nashukuru pia.
I think it's hard to process this lived reality that so many people are going through. Mama Rex has been brave enough to share her her lived reality, her lived truth. And when we talk about the extrajudicial killings, when you talk about abductions and harassment, it's not just data. There are people behind these issues, and there's still a huge list of injustices that continue to happen. And so we are going to focus on that a little bit today, and perhaps continuing to do that throughout the remainder of these conversations that we'll continue to have. Where is the justice, and where does the push for justice begin? We're continuing here at Citizen Assembly. We now cross over for spoken word, perhaps to take us through the storytelling of the day.
What's up?
Hi, Jira. We brought you here today to let you...
Yajeni wase, ninge request kidogo tusimame tu dakika moja kwa victims wote. Asanteni. So mimi naitwa Cricket Rights ni poet. So leo hata kichain my body lazima nita free my mind kama misere. Sita betray hii motherland kwa kusubmit cooperation. Kwa hii country imejaa patriots kwa jails na prisons. Economy ni colonialist na hii regime na create poverty na kufanya ama youths wanakuwa criminals. Nimekataa kunyamaza kuona tunaoga mikono kuserve bullets. Leo hata kama history haitaandikwa na pen, waambieni basi waiandike na rifle. Sina fear imprisonment kwa regime ina treat citizens kama slaves. Inatudina human rights na bado kwa public holidays tunaimba love, peace and unity. So niaje hii country ni most democratic time others wanakufa kwa detention cells na torture chambers. Niaje hii country ni most democratic time others wanakufa na njaa. So country ni prison, home you're oppressed, alafu a small minority ina enjoy privileges. Exam papers zimechelewa kufika Turkana, ati transport ni ya udu, na ballot papers so gunshots na sauti za tinga hata kwa speaker kwa mwananchi amenyeshewa inafanya hats zao even more wetter. Alafu kuna sauti ina ring kwa mind, mukinichagua hakuna mwananchi atabomolewa tena, mukinichagua hakuna kijana atapigwa risasi. Hebu nione wale wanasema tuanze na ile jamaa ya bottom up, bottom up. Lakini Mkenya, soma story ya Jaramogi, utagundua Kenya bado hakuna wrong history kwa classes. Ndio maana youths legacy ya mseka Steve wajui, kazi tu ni biko. December 12 tuna celebrate Jamhuri Day, but story ya December 12 movement nani anainarrate? Mkenya, pambana, time ina fly. Na daily nation ni propaganda za orezo kwa flights kujaribu kuland jobs kwa youths. Nation is sick, hata doctors wako mgomo. Hakuna budget ya kufeed citizens, but kuna budget ya unconstitutional CASs at a cost. The Star News Bulletin, Mwakenya ririke kina Karemi wanatumia kupass exams za history yenye stories za kina Karari. Ndudhu zimepigwa njama na kuerase kama role ya women kwa Maumau. Guy Mwadhani wa Igoro, hata wale walikuwa kwa scandal ya NYS bado wako kwa government offices wana earn. Meru alichagua governor wakidhani atapiga Kawera, lakini sahi bado hakuna mwangaza. Nairobi Johnson bado anasaka ja kwa government inanua curtains za 10 million. Niambieni akina nani wanabebwa mapasia Zakayo shuka. So ni kanisa ilitumika kuomba kura, wakaswea na Biblia, but sahi wanatumia kifua kuongoza. Time constitution ilifaa kukaa tiba. Zakayo shuka. So tutaunganisha stima, tutaunda barabara, tutajenga serikali na vijana ya bodaboda na mama mboga. So aka slogan ikagasha goa. Mr. President, ni RUTO gani unatupeleka? Kusema education ni free na vile books ni expensive ni ku-exercise our minds. Kusema education ni free na jana kuna mtu yalisare shule juu alikosa uniform ni ku-exercise our minds. So wewe unafilaje? Unafilaje sasa zenye urezo wako wanakuongoza national anthem na tujenge taifa, alafu Korogosho kwa jenga Madhare wanabomolewa? So wewe unafilaje sasa zenye urezo wako wanakuongoza national anthem na tujenge taifa, alafu Korogosho Mukuru kwa jenga wanabomolewa? So policies walitype alafu zikasainiwa na ball pen, na hapo ndio tulichezwa. Koti wakapiga perfume na expectajo wataheshimu court order. 21st century bado gava inatumia unga kubribe nation kuvote. Mkulima wa kahawa ana go loss after sales juu hakutoa chai. So nani haoni Kenya bado hakuna. Nani atatikile article constitution vifiti? All sovereign power, all sovereign power, all sovereign power. The people ni set flani ya rulers wa protect wealth kwao. Sunday wamekram Apostles Creed, alafu Monday greed in our drive na testimonies za vile 7 days without prayer inawafanya weak. Wao hujasikia kiongozi wa Wanga alikuwa na bongo na bado alikuwa deceived na sweets. Mambo leo still new colony. Believe me, hata Mugabe angekuwa Kenyan hangetaka anyone amuite roba ama ni roba. So tunaishi na country where the president anapenda the youth, but most strategic jobs anapea the old, na kwa hiyo mood still awari country yenye ina constitution. Kama ni leadership nachagua humanity kwa leader wangu, juu kama leadership ni school degrees na certificates, basi hadi zile karatasi za Waititu zilikuwa true. Ni Ferdinand alizimisinta Pret. So pieces mobs za peace wasanii wanaandika lakini bado hana amani. Kiongozi mwananchi alichagua already anamfichia white, already ana stock ya ngano ya kubandika posters time ya campaign na Turkana tunakufanja. Wanjiku haezi afford Kawairi Mom mkulima wa roskoko na majani chai analia njaa toka time ya Nyayo. Afya center ni kama base fulani ya viongozi waendea snacks, docs ni less, hospitals ni less, na zenye ziko hazina madawa. Doc ana complain of protective gears, ndio ana texture ya 4M na last time nurses wali strikes ni jana. Si wages zinafanya mwalimu kuata kidato, si wages zina donatives kwa evicted Kariobangi, Mokuru na Ruai. Unanyomokerua Ruai ginya hakiri. So equality iko wapi time kuna mwenye nchikare na kona aneka ya paki na neka smoking zone na parking large kuliko chuo fulani iko Dandora, Korogosho na Mathare? Equality iko wapi time kuna mwenye nchikare na kona aneka ya paki na neka smoking zone na parking large kuliko chuo fulani iko Korogosho, Mathare na Dandora? So tunataka police service ya police force. Utumishi kwa wote, si utumisi kwa kara wengine. Juu kara wengine ni same na photographers, kila time they've got a clear shot. Makara wengine ni kama kwa class waliitwa sura viatu vile wamekuwa sharp shooters. Tulienda recruitment za makarao, alafu tukaambiwa tuko na shida ya macho. Alafu after kutembea station tukapata afande amevaa miwani. So niambieni nani alifunga mwingine macho ama tulifungwa macho juu tulikosa za macho? So niambieni nani alifunga mwingine macho ama tulifungwa macho juu tulikosa za macho? So mimi naitwa Cricket Rights. Unaweza ni follow kila platform at Cricket Rights. Unajua nikikuja hapa nilikuwa nafikiria tuliambiwa Yesu anakuja juu ya sisi wanyonge, waliodhulumiwa. Alafu tukaambiwa atakuja kama mwizi. Alafu nakaa nafikiria if kama anakuja kama mwizi na vile Kenya imekuwa a police state, then anaweza kosa kutufikia. Anaweza kuwa maybe hata anaweza kuwa kwa mkuru kwa jenga mahali kwa gunia. The government sucks that way. Si ndio? Ni kubaya leo kuliko jana, lakini tuendelee na mapambano, si ndio? All sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya. Alafu nimekuwa nominated kwa African Rising kama Artistic Activist of the Year. Unaweza ingia kwa website yao, register, then hapo cheza kama wewe, si ndio? Sitacheza kizakayo, sitaomba kura alafu niwatoke. Wacha bana.
Sawa. Okay.
Start today with GoDaddy. If you can dream it, you can build it. Whatever your idea, you can turn it.
Thank you. Sawa. Cricket. Am I live? Okay. Cricket, thank you very much for that. Mpe makofi tena bwana. Asante sana. We're still live here at the Citizen Assembly, and I know we had to start that way. We had to start by setting the tone for why we are here today, why we are constantly asking for truth, for change, for justice. So we thank Mama Rex once again. We thank Cricket for speaking truth to power. And we're going to continue the conversation shortly. For now, though, we're going to cross over to X Space, where Manoa Hosea is going to be on standby to host the conversation online before we come back here and have a panel discussion again on the truth and justice that we seek. So for now, we're heading over to the X Space, and then I'm going to take a seat and be joined by my panelists shortly. So over to the X Space.
As she gave the ordeal that she went through, losing the son to a police bullet. And I think this is a critical conversation that we need to have as a country, whether we need to have more people die while exercising their rights to picket, to assemble, to peacefully demonstrate, and to exercise that which the Constitution of Kenya 2010 gave them. We are continuing the conversation. I think we have so many speakers who want to put in their contribution to this Citizen Assembly, both those at Catholic University physically and those of you who have joined on this space. Let's continue the conversation. I will invite a few interventions even as we continue the conversation. Tracy Owiti, can you hear me? You have the microphone?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Kindly proceed.
Oh, thank you so much. It's quite unfortunate to hear Mama Rex's mother go through that. It's painful. This is coming from a mother's point of view. It's painful to lose your son in such a manner. And the fact that the police are not even confident enough to leave the bullet in Rex, they have to steal it in a bid to seal the evidence. It's such a shame to the police officers who did that. And I hope and pray that justice may prevail for Rex and all the other victims of police brutality. Now, I had a few questions for you, for the lawyers in the House. Earlier on, you said that you guys are only going to represent people who have been charged with picketing. But then I think the police sort of realized that, and then now they're charging people with robbery, and even though they were picketing. So I don't know how you guys are handling that. Do you guys trust what the police are telling you? I mean, the charge sheet, because the charge sheets are reading robbery, while in real sense they were picked from the streets while picketing. And another question I had for you guys was there's been this discussion about the odious debt. At what point do we invoke the doctrine, and who is in charge of that? I mean, who can help with that? Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, for those questions and interventions. We'll pick more questions and interventions. Anonymous, kindly, you have the microphone. Anonymous, if you can hear me, kindly, you have the floor. Adrenaline.
Yes, good morning, Kenya. And first of all, I want to render my condolences to Mama Rex and everyone who has lost their loved ones during this period. It is absolutely heartbreaking to hear the account of what Mama Rex has gone through. And I just hope that we are going to come up with something that will help us to end this brutality. And my question goes to the lawyers here, and I don't know whether we have a legal framework where we can go to the courts and the High Court can be able to admonish this police service to stop, first of all, coming with cars which they have hidden the number plates. Number two, can the court be able to pronounce themselves and admonish the police service from sending people who are covered in their faces? Yesterday when they were picking Shad, who even right now no one knows where he is, these guys, they don't even have badges to identify themselves. So you don't even know whether it's the police, the police who are arresting you, or it's goons who are going to go and kill you. And in Pipeline the other day, we saw clearly a white person holding an assault rifle, shooting at people, covering his face. And this is someone who is not even a Kenyan, because you can see this is not a Kenyan. And I'm just asking the lawyers here, is it possible that we go to the High Court or the Supreme Court or wherever, where we need the courts, the judicial system to come out very strongly and condemn this act and put a stop to the police from doing these things? Because right now we are mourning 60 people that we know, but we know very well that the police have killed more people in this country. And if we do not stop this right now, from what is happening, from them picking people one by one, this is going to continue happening, and we don't even know where this ends. The other day when Paul Okimani was arrested, I was there, and being someone who has a very small following, we were huddling behind him like he's Achilles, because we knew if something happens, he's going to make noise. And you saw when he was arrested what happened. Everyone was up in arms. But we have so many people who have been arrested, but because they don't have a name and a big name here, no one knows where they are. So I'm just asking you guys, the lawyers here, what can we do? And personally, if we saw what happened with Hanifa, we were able to contribute. We can come together and contribute money so that this can be done to stop the police from harming any more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrenaline. I want to take you back to the Citizen Assembly at Catholic University shortly. We'll be able to respond to some of the questions that have been raised after the next panel discussion. Perhaps if you can hold on to those legal questions, I hand over the microphone to Faith Odhiambo, Madam President, if you can proceed.
Thank you very much for that, Manoa. We will be crossing over back to the X space intermittently, as we are also hosting here at Catholic University. And in just a few moments, the panelists are ready to give us their accounts, their perspective. Before that, though, I'd like to invite to the stage Stephen Bogwa, LSK Council member, who needs to give some remarks because he has to dash to the courtroom. So let's allow him that. And let's welcome him to the stage as he comes on to share some remarks with us in the room.
Good morning. Oh, sorry. Let me just hold the mic. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Is it loud enough?
Let's make sure we can hear him. Try again.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Are we good? Yes, please proceed. Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, comrades.
Good morning.
My name is Stephen Mbogwa Wanjiro. I'm a council member with the Law Society of Kenya. Loud enough.
Yes, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And one thing I can say today, I was listening to Mama Rex's story, and I've had the pleasure of having met her at her place, and many other victims who have underwent this police brutality. It's very sad for a country when we watch this kind of atrocities taking place under the government's sponsorship and orchestration by the government to ensure that they oppress the common mwananchi for only doing one so-called mistake, to protest and demand for the respect of the rule of law and to demand for good governance and accountable governance. And for the last
They came from all over Africa to the event to top all events. The 600-plus dreamers, achievers, and leaders of tomorrow, all with one purpose in mind: to graduate and celebrate in style with their fellow Nexford graduates under the watchful gaze of family, friends, global dignitaries, and celebrities. This was their time to shine, to work toward brighter futures and better careers as they connected with local and international employers at the career fair, but also took time out to look back at the past, reflecting on all of the hard work and sacrifices it took.
1 month where we have participated actively in this issue of protest and trying to provide legal support to most of the protesters across the country. I can tell you for a fact that the police force, let me use the word force, do not care in essence the respect of the rule of law or the respect of human rights when it comes to the persons who have been arrested. And yesterday I witnessed some of the police officers even being so brutal and using so much force on some of the peaceful protesters who are not using any form of violence towards them. I think, and I want to encourage us not to tire, not to keep quiet. I know they may try to gag some of us, they may try to gag some of our members, or use force to intimidate them to stop advocating for good governance and rule of law. But one thing we are strong at is picking up and pushing forward with this conversation and actively participating in all forms of demanding for accountability. So as we continue to have this citizen assembly, let us remember in the back of our minds that the main reason why we started this course is to change our country to become better. And we are not doing that just for ourselves. We are doing that even for our parents, for the older generation, and for even our children that are going to come after us. Because we all desire a better Kenya, and we're all looking forward to have a better place we call home. So with all those few remarks, I want to welcome you once again and have a beautiful, beautiful day as we converse and discuss issues affecting our country. God bless you, and God bless Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen Bogwa, LSK Council member, for sharing those remarks and reiterating why we're here today, which is really to talk about this escalation of violence in the wake of protests that are largely and really led peacefully. I have my panelists with me, and I could introduce them, but I think I'd like them to do that themselves. Some are familiar faces, and some are, emerging as the people who are going to usher us into a new era. So I'll start here, just very briefly, your name and what you do, to the end before we begin the conversation.
Yes. Viva, comrades, viva.
Viva.
My name is Sefu Sani. I am an artivist. So I am a revolutionary artist and an activist.
Great.
Good morning.
Morning.
Aye. Comrades power. Comrades Ria. Yeah. Comrades Akchu. Comrades Ziggy Zaga. Awesome. My name is Casmo Makoure, and I went to the Technical University of Kenya. I studied finance. I'm 26 years old, and I'm a music performer, but the government has called me a treasonous criminal, and I'm currently on the streets demanding for better governance, accountability, and an end to corruption. Asanteni.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Elizabeth Wangoyo Wanjeri. I am an advocate. I am also the LSK Coast representative, and I practice in Mombasa. Good to be here with you all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Irene Otto. I'm a council member, and I represent Nairobi, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
We're glad to have all of you. The council member just said something interesting. He urged us not to tire. And I think it's important because, and maybe I can get reflections from you, there's a sense that people get to a place where they say, how much more can we go? How much more can we sustain? Yet there is an importance in sustaining such a movement. So very quickly getting your reactions, because we are also going to talk about this escalation of police brutality. But starting with you, why can we not afford to tire?
We cannot afford to tire because we have come out to fight for our rights. When the young people on 18th of June went to the streets of Nairobi, they were going out to not only fight about the finance bill, but there were deeper issues that were being addressed. Issues of socio-economic rights of the people. If we look at our Article 45 of the Constitution, socio-economic rights such as the right to health care, the right to good education, the right to a good livelihood, to be able to access education, employment, all these issues that are supposed to be addressed by our government, by our leaders, whom we are the people who we give mandate to these people. We exercise our rights as citizens, either directly or indirectly. So when the people took to the streets, they were exercising their rights directly, because the people whom they gave the mandate to do that indirectly have not done that. So we cannot afford to tire because we have not yet reached where we need to go. The Mau Mau fought for our country. They came out to fight against colonial injustices. And this is the reason why we were able to get our independence as Kenya. If the Mau Mau would have tired and said, oh no, it is too bad, we have so many people who have died, we have so many people who have been maimed, today we would not have the country of Kenya that we have. And so we have seen the Mau Mau in different places. We have seen Frelimo in Mozambique. We have seen the ANC in South Africa at that time, who came out to fight for their country. And we relieved ourselves from the shackles of colonialism. But unfortunately, we are still living under the guise of neocolonialism, where there were some black people with black skin who took over power, but they continued with those reigns. So this is the reason why we cannot stop. Us as the Mau Mau of today, the Gen Z of today, the millennials of today, the Kenyans of today, we need to fight until we reach to such a place where we have achieved justice, we have achieved our socio-economic rights, we have a place where people are not dying in Madare because of floods. Young people are not unemployed. We do not have to pay such high taxes. And when we elect our representatives in parliament or in any other capacity, they are able to actually amplify the voice of the people and not just their own voices for their own gain.
Right. So we cannot tire because we cannot go back on gains made. Kasmal, you've been, consistently at the forefront of really amplifying this unanimous voice around saying we need change. And like I said, there's this interesting point we find ourselves where people are starting to almost say, well, there's certain things that have been done. Perhaps we should now move to understanding that this is the best that can be done, or this is, this is a solution. Whereas I think a lot of us know it's not. It's in the guise of, but really, it's a massive tone-deaf approach to what people are asking. How can we sustain momentum? How can we sustain the activism to ensure that at the end of the day, the voices are heard, the people are heard? How can we continue to sustain it?
Thank you, Janet. One of the ways I see we can sustain the oomph and the zeal of this movement is in remembering how far we've come. And I say this because, just to bounce off what my sister, Comrade Sefu, has said, if we tire, we despise the blood of Rex. If we tire, we despise the blood of Shujaa Kennedy, a 12-year-old boy who was shot. If we tire, we are sanctioning that children should be tear-gassed in schools. If we tire and if we lose our momentum, we are enabling a corrupt regime. It is ensuring that all of you who are in queer in pursuit of a better future will never get into a workforce. And if you do, you need to have the surname of a person currently sitting in government. I think the way we can sustain, and personally what drives me to be part of this movement, is the fact that there are people who once left home and will never go back. There are people who left home on the 25th and on the day we occupied Parliament who are going to exercise their democratic right to assembly and will never walk again. I think about these people and ask myself, what is so special about me that I should be tired? What makes me so special that I get the right to be tired? Does the mother of Rex, who has shared one of the most heartbreaking stories I've had, does she get the luxury of being tired? Her son was out to ask for better governance, to ask for a better future. For me, he lay his life down so that I might be able to make it for the Citizens' Assembly. I think it is only wise that I contribute that way. If I get tired, Evans Kiraito, who was shot by the police, because these are not victims of accidental happenings. They were not struck by acts of God. These are victims of police excesses and police brutality. We are living in a country that has a police force that is living under the guise of a police service. If I get tired, does the couple that raised Evans, that is now being detained at Central Police Station, have the luxury to be tired? And I think, while it is exhausting, while we live in a world where you're supposed to be a student and this is not how we envisioned to spend our 20s, certainly not for me, in the gift of community, in knowing that I can look to the side and see my sister fighting, I can look to my side and see my brother fighting, I can look to you and see you reporting the facts as they are without being gagged. Those are some of the things we can do. There is most definitely going to be protest fatigue, as is the norm of any process that we undergo as human beings, but for the sake of the sanctity of their lives, of the comrades we lost, for the sake of the families they left behind, for the sake of the dreams and the brains that were splattered on Parliament Road, we cannot afford to get tired. It is okay to take some rest, but for the sake of the comrades who've gone before us, let us not tire.
Let us not tire. And I think just both what you and Sefo have alluded to is those before us didn't. So why should we? You have, though, very accurately talked about protest fatigue. And I think there's going to need to be conversations that reinvigorate people so that they don't feel like, oh, it's done. Right. Or maybe this is the change we need. Yes. Because we're starting to see that. And unfortunately, it gets us back to why we started in the first place. Right. Elizabeth, again, from the perspective of legal, the escalation of brutality is something unlike many have seen before. Even just yesterday, people peacefully mourning with the parents and relatives of those who died, and then on video, just like grabbed, arrested. Where does the law come in? And I know it's a complex question, and this is a complex matter. Sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. But what rights are there to use that kind of excess force? And because people want to continue to agitate for change, what happens now? Because it's, in a sense, it's erasure, it's silencing. So from a legal perspective, what is this that we're seeing playing out? And how can we allow people to know that they should be safe when they go to protest peacefully?
In my view, what was happening, like what happened yesterday, is just a classic case of a government just battering its population into submission. That's just what it is. So you're battered to a point that you cannot resist anymore. That's just it. So it is not legal, but it is just a tactic that they're using to beat us to submission. Now, what my view is, any government that is in place should have a humane face. Now, this has got nothing to do with legal or being it a legal perspective, but it has to be a humane face. Now, if someone, common sense dictates that if I'm burying, the much you can do is give me at least some time to just finish the ceremony, then you can come and barge in. That is just common human decency. But you see now what the government is doing, it is now engaging in psychological warfare. It is actually wrong. So what we are saying is, why can't the relevant authorities just follow the right procedure? It's not like someone is going to run away if they're already attending a funeral. Let them finish. Just give them the decency of mourning, and then you can continue. But we are also seeing a situation where they're even now going to estates now. They're taking those attacks to people in their own homes, you see. So we're slowly getting to a point where now the population is getting so battered, they don't know where it is safe anymore. You're not safe in the town, you're not safe in your own home, so where do you go now, you see? So it's just instilling that fear. But people need to know that nothing comes easy, and this government, actually what it is doing is actually very wrong. And in terms of protesters, they should actually, if the police were doing their work of actually giving protection to the protesters, just going along and ensuring that the protests are taking place as per the law, then all these things we are seeing are really unnecessary. I don't see why the government has to go into estates. If people are running away, why would they be running away if the proper procedure of a protest is actually being followed? So I think we need a humane face to the engagement that is there between the police, the relevant government authorities, and its own population. That's what I think.
Yeah, thank you for setting that tone and saying it's clearly, completely, it's unlawful, because it's important that that's highlighted. Irene, what happens now? Because the public trust is lost. It's broken. People are now looking at so many enemies arising, right? You had first those who in the beginning forced people to go on the streets, and then those who are taking lives by force. How can you speak to people being able to, I know trust again is a strange question to ask, but where can people take that trust that was broken? What can they do to motivate themselves to keep going out there to push for the change that they want?
First, let me go back to what Wanjeri had said. I think, personally, the utu in utumishi kwa wote is no longer there. And that's why they keep being brutal every time. Because why would you go and beat somebody who was just walking? Personally, I experienced police brutality. I was among the first casualties on the 18th because they hit me with a canister. At the police station, you know, when you're at the police station, you think you're at the safest place, that nobody would actually come and attack you there. And that's where they hit me. And for a moment, I couldn't walk. Like, it was so painful. And I was wondering, now, what am I supposed to do? And they keep throwing their tear gas to people. Imagine we are at the station, and we are advocates. So I thought to myself, if this is something they can do to lawyers, how about other people, the common wananchi, who doesn't even know, has not even read about their rights? Because we are advocates, we know our rights, we can sing them to you, but they act this way with us. So how about other people? That's what I thought about every time I was there until I was taken to the hospital for treatment. Now, in order to gain trust, I think we need to see bodies like IPOA working. That is how to gain public trust, because they're the ones who are charged with the oversight role. They're the ones who are supposed to come after these policemen. Have they started doing that? Based on the report that we saw, I think, a week ago, personally, I feel that is very inadequate. They have not even started doing the work. So how are we going to be able to trust them if they don't even do their mandates? And not to water down the sentiments of the IPOA lady who was here last time. I must have forgotten her name, I'm sorry. But people were not impressed with the kind of answers she was giving that day. It looked as though she was being evasive. She was not answering the questions. We want to know, what are you doing about it? What steps have you started taking about on these matters that are being reported? You cannot tell me that you cannot find the bullet that shot Rex, and that's why you can't do anything. Who is supposed to find the bullets? Who is supposed to do the what is it called when the examination? Is it us? Are we the ones supposed to bring the evidence? That's their job. So once they start doing their job, then the public will automatically give them the trust, yes.
Once they start doing their job.
Yes.
I'll come around for a second and final round of questions. And you know, you've all spoken from your perspective. You're also in different fields, but it's a very shared narrative. And the thing that I've also been trying to ask myself is, what happens next? Where do we go from here? Because I feel like it's just one of those moments in history when you wake up and you don't really know what's going to come tomorrow. But we have a chance here to rewrite history. And I often feel like sometimes Kenyans have been, somebody once said, Kenya is like Africa for beginners. Yeah. And the way they described it is that perhaps there's been so many difficult moments, and it's not devaluing what we've gone through. We have been on the brink of many unfortunate moments, you know, whether it was 2007, whether it was going all the way back to Mau Mau, whether it was COVID, whether it was the floods. There's been so many moments, and yet it's a month in, and people feel like, oh, maybe there's a solution on the periphery. Personally, I find that worrying, but I also get that maybe we've internalized that normalcy of where somebody says you're used to the crumbs you get, right? So we do need to continue the conversation, but how do we move this forward? You can answer from a personal perspective, from your space and your industry. How do you think we move forward today? Yesterday, there was really violent arrests. The intimidation, as Elizabeth has said, it's escalating in a really dangerous way. It's silencing, and there's a submission that's been enforced. So what happens next?
I want to just give an analogy for those of us who went to school and preschool or lived in any of the neighborhoods. There are some people, whenever we are growing up, that are always bullies. So when you find the narrative of a bully, it is always someone who they will come and look down on you. Maybe they think that they are the prettiest group of people in school, or they're the richest people in school, or they're the brightest people in school. So they always come, and there's this child who is always being bullied. And until that time that this child or this person stands up to any of these people, it never changes. So maybe people go through that cycle of bullying, and those people, it's either you're part of them or you keep avoiding them. And I'm sure for most of us, we've gone through such a situation. So it only takes one person who you're so backed at a corner. At some point when someone backs you at a corner, the only thing you can do is push out. When you reach rock bottom, there is nowhere else to go. So you can go down and go down and go down, but the moment you reach rock bottom, Janet, there is nowhere else to go but up. And I think this is where we are at as Kenyans at the moment. We are at a point where we are so pressed at a wall, so we are fighting back with all that we have. And the only thing we need to do is look at this monster that is harming us. We need to look at it and to address it and to confront it. This is the only way that we are going to win. So I don't think that people really are fatigued. It is just that people are being threatened. People are being someone is submitting you into silence. So, and we are being pushed to a wall, to such a place that now we are going to get to push back. When we look at the situation today and the conversations going on, even political conversations and around the scope, a lot of people are saying, okay, you know what, there's a lot of anarchy now, there's a lot of looting, there's a lot of, businesses that are losing their money. And I just want to say that money is not more important than lives. Money is not more important than justice. We can talk about peace, but we can have peace and hunger. They can coexist at the same time. We can have peace and have exploitation. They will coexist in the same space. We can have peace and we can have injustice. So having peace is not a prelude to having justice. What we are asking for is justice. What we are going out to get is justice. And in the words of one of our forefathers, known as Dedan Kimathi, he says, it is better to die on our feet than to live on our knees. So we cannot keep on living on our knees because we are scared. It is better to die on our feet, fighting and getting this justice that we want, than it is to live on our knees. And also I'll finish, before I finish, with Thomas Sankara, who says that any soldier who does not have an ideology is a potential criminal. So a soldier in this case does not just mean the military people or the police, people who are fighting for their rights and their justice. And all of us who are going out there are soldiers. So we need to have an ideology and see what is this that we really want to change. And really what we want, for example, it's not just RUTO to go. We want RUTO and RUTOism, whereby you're picking people because they're your friends, where we have people who are in cabinet and they are not really qualified, where we have the police using excessive force, which they should not be doing. So we want an overhaul of the system. And when we have this in our mind, then we should be able to get to where we're going. I want to finish with a song, because I said I was an artist, and this song speaks truth to power, and it goes out to all of us, for us to be able to be enhanced, to have power, to go out for...
Can you save your song for... I would love, because I want to give you the moment to... So once we finish, before we allow you to leave, just so that we can kind of end with that. Is that okay? Right. Yeah, because I'm looking forward to that, and I think it's... Kazmo, she said something interesting. Sometimes you're back to a corner, and you have two options. You fall down or you push back. Where can people find the courage, the conviction to push back, yet they feel they're faced with anarchy, with death, with threats, with intimidation? How can we collectively push back, and what happens next?
I'll start with a rather radical statement. There's this word that everybody is afraid of, the word anarchy. I don't know why you're playing safe around that word. Anarchy is a political ideology. And it is the political ideology that the government wants to push us to. And I say this because if you analyze what the word anarchy is, it's just basically anti-RUTOism. Because what the outgoing President RUTO is running is akin to what could be described as, and pardon my largesse, a kakistocratic tumbocracy. In the sense that the only way you can qualify for this government is if you're utterly corrupt, if you're utterly inept and uneducated, and if you have a name that has bedeviled this country for long. So sorry to break it to you, fellow comrades in the Catholic University of East Africa and all other school-going children, that you will never be in government because you're educated and you stand for something. Dimwits, all of you. That is what we are fighting. I need us to be alive to this reality because that informs our now and that will inform our what next. I used to be shy of this question, but Kenya is akin to, I would liken our beloved country to a beautiful woman in a narcissistic and abusive relationship. And asking that woman what next is after she bears her heart out to you and you tell her, wa, sauta do. It is imperative, it is incumbent upon us to, one, figure out how do we take our friend from this situation, because otherwise we run the risk of victim blaming. And a lot of the times the people who are asked what next are the victims. It has never been to the powerful people because they know exactly what is now, and they know that up to 100 generations they will be sorted off the blood of your backs. And they use your blood to sign political deals. That's all that's needed. Kitambo, it used to be signatures. Nowadays, the more lucrative thing in my analysis is the blood of young men. Not even for rituals or anything, because you guys are not that important. I need to remind you, when you're walking around, don't you dare think that you're a human being. You're nothing in this country as a young person. We despise you and we hate you. And that is why when there are police excesses and we go on the streets, we are told, tone down. Between you and a headless chicken, I see no difference. This is how we push back. It is in the remembrance of the cruelty that this regime has meted upon us. When you remember that corruption is akin to genocide, when someone steals money that was meant for vaccines, when someone steals money that's meant for higher education, when someone steals money that's meant for food, it should anger you because there are millions who will never get to see the light of day. We push back because of the resolve we have while saying Daima Sisi wa Kenya. We will push back because what next looks like this. We will deal circumfoniously with this government. We will root it out. We will ensure that all these corrupt officials face the law. We will ensure that rogue policemen, and it has gotten to a point where we have to be very radical in our communication, in the sense that abnormal behavior during abnormal times is normal behavior. The state is trying to push young men and women to violence because they cannot reason. That is why the only way the state can deal with you is if they criminalize you, because they know they can manipulate criminal law. We push back by remembering the comrades that we have lost. We will push back because we are Kenyans, and as my sister and comrade Masita Rus would say, Kenya ni home.
Thank you for that. Powerful statements there. I know we're really short of time and there's still a song to be sung before we go, but I mean, such amazing sentiments from you both. Maybe as you wind up, Elizabeth, and I'll probably come to you as well, Irene, there is this sense of we need that conviction and resolve. How do we also move forward with heavy education? I think it was Irene who said, we know, like you know your rights, you know the law. So how do we then now move forward by emphasizing a lot on people being equipped with the knowledge on their rights? Because that's always been taken advantage of. That is the one thing that has been a constant. We can start with you. How do we move forward in terms of the civic education, in terms of education on policies, to allow us to use that to exercise our democratic rights? Very briefly.
Yeah, I'll be brief. In fact, when you asked what what next, I was going to say it's just not as simple as saying it is step 1, 2. Now I'll give a simple analogy. When you give birth to a baby, do you sit there and say what next? No, this is a process. Now you start a process of nurturing the life, and nurturing life has a process. You start when the baby can do nothing. They talk, they walk, they go to school, and finally they're independent. Now here we have already birthed a revolution. Now first and foremost, what people need to ask themselves, I don't think people are tired as such. It is just that the tactics that are being used to infiltrate the movement is what is making people lose interest in it. But I think they're very much into it. But number one is we need to constantly remind ourselves, why did it begin in the first place? Now when you tell yourself that, and then you come to answer your question, have you achieved what got you there in the first place? If the answer is no, then definitely you have to continue. And my view is, we are fighting for the soul of this country. We are fighting for our future, and we cannot afford to relent. They want us to relent so that they can continue with these shenanigans they're up to. So we need to remind ourselves, number one, why did we begin? And then number two, we need to do civic education. Now, I'll give you an example. You can see these border people who are being, okay, not all of them. There are people who are infiltrating as borders, other goons. We need to do a massive civic awareness among the population. Show them this is the problem. If you did not stick to these handouts you're being given, this is the better part that you can get when systems are working. Let us fight. I've always said, let us fight for systems that are working for each and everyone. Let the leaders put in place systems that are working, and everyone will be okay. It's not an issue that we all want to be crazily rich, but if you can meet your needs and you can live a decent life, most people will be comfortable with that. So we need to remind ourselves two elements. We need to remind ourselves why we began, and number two, we need massive civic education for the population.
Thank you. Very important. Finally, Irene.
Further to what my sister Wanjari has said, I believe that as LSK, we have been doing this and we continue doing it, creating awareness, educating the masses. We have legal aid clinics. We always host them at different court stations, and we are always urging people to come. And you can ask as many questions as you want. And because of the of the times that we are in, such avenues go ahead to help people understand how our country runs, what their rights are, what their duties are as citizens, and what they should expect from the government. I actually believe that we are not against taxes. Our problem is how are our taxes being used? That's the biggest problem, because why are you taxing people yet they don't see any benefit? We don't have roads, we don't have hospitals, we don't have proper working schools. Even higher education has become a problem. After Form 4, what's next? Are they going to, like they were saying, they give people boda? I'm not looking down on boda riders, but all of us cannot be boda riders. You see, so we need to have systems that work, and we need to have the NGOs and the civil society organizations partner up and hold this. We used to hold the legal awareness clinics. We used to go to the people. Even if you go to a market, you find so many people to educate, so many people to tell about their rights, and people are always willing. But even when they are not, sometimes you go somewhere and they want something, wanakuuliza, umetuletea maziwa, umetuletea mkate. I say sometimes we don't have bread, but we have knowledge, and I urge people to actually show up for these things.
Thank you. Thank you for that emphasis on educating and enhancing the knowledge. Before we allow our song, quick announcement, and this is for those in the room, those who are watching. If you or your loved one has gone missing, been arrested, tortured, detained, injured, or died since the beginning of the protest on the 18th of June 2024, please feel free to record your complaint at room L4. So I believe that's now on site. Room L4 There's going to be a service that will allow you to lodge a complaint, talk about who is missing or injured, and be able to be led to the right services that can hopefully get you the justice that you deserve. And I think a lot of those platforms exist as well around these platforms. So continue to look out for a lot of these organizations and platforms that are allowing you to lodge complaints, talk about those who are injured, also psychosocial support for a lot of people. Make sure you look out for that information. And so before we head over to the space in just a few moments, a huge thank you to all of you. I think a round of applause, as I know we're going to be led out with song. Thank you for the emphasis on resolve. Thank you for the emphasis on civic education. And thank you for the emphasis on knowing that it starts with us, and that we can move that change. And so, please, over to you.
Kupigwa na kupokonywa maisha hakutatuzuia sisi wananchi kunyakua uhuru wetu na haki ya jasho letu. Tumekataa kupiga magoti mbele ya hawa wauaji. Bila shaka sisi pia ni watu, hali ya utumwa tumeikataa. Tutanyakua mashamba yetu, tupiganie uhuru wetu, tuikomboe elimu yetu, utamaduni na viwanda vyetu. Sisi hatutaki kudhulumiwa, hatutaki tena mauaji, ili kupetuli angushe haki na uhuru zichanue, na uhuru wetu wa Kenya, uhuru wetu wa Kenya, tupigani. Let me see your face. Na katiba yetu, Kenya, katiba yetu wa Kenya, tutekeleze.
Asante sana. Asante sana. We cross over now to the X space. And I love that song.
Kote nchini mbele
Gadomo mitaani, wanijua tangu zamani, mimi nawe wapi kwa wapi we. Sini jaji unijui we, waujua we, wangu msimamo, simama imara, simama imara, simama imara, watu wote wakuone papapapapara, papapapapara, papapapapara. una chokoza nazo longo zako sio hoja watakuja dondoa. Una chokoza nazo longo zako sio hoja watakuja dondoa. Hey! Eti wanijua tangu zamani, mimi nawe wapi kwa wapi we. Sinijaji unijui we, waujua we wangu msimamo. Simama imara watu wote wakuone papapapara. Slava. Ngoma inaitwa Simama Imara. Asanteni kwa wale mmesimama imara, asanteni sana. Lakini liandika kitambo kidogo. Ngoma yenyewe inazungumzia mambo yanaendelea hivi sasa. Na on one side inaongelesha viongozi, uongo wao, cosmetic solutions. Kila siku ni story za hapo sasa. So basically kwa watu wale tuliowapoteza kwenye maandamano, tunasimama imara na nyinyi. Kwa familia zilizopoteza watu wao, tunasimama imara na nyinyi. Kwa wale ambao wako katika maandamano tukipigania haki yetu, tunasimama imara na nyinyi. Sio kukosana naye, kutengana naye, kuachana. Hapo imetosha kionjo. This next song, let's sing it for our brothers and sisters, those that we lost during this very, very difficult and trying time. Ngoma inaitwa Amina. Wangapi wanajua Amina? Sasa hii kwa heshima ya wale tuliwapoteza, kindly if you can stand, tuimbe ngoma pamoja, sio? Let's go. Lakini kama kawaida, kabla niwaage lazima niimbe ile nyimbo ya hapo sasa. Nakuaga mikwaheri, nakutakia laheri, jamani mpenzi. Nakuaga mikwaheri nami kukupenda misi, jamani mpenzi. Tukiwa na wewe mambo yako yenda kombo, japoni. One more time. Nakuaga mikwaheri, nakutakia la kukupenda misi, jamani mpenzi. Thank you very much. Mbarikiwe.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can we have another round of applause for the one and only Sanipe? Anyone else grew up listening to Sanipe? Yeah, I was too young to be singing Najuta. I don't know what I was jutaring at that age, but we'll move from art right now and we'll have a conversation on digital activism, and I would like my guests to join me on stage right now. Laura, we have Laura, who is she's a journalist, a celebrated journalist. We have James. Have a seat, Laura, please. We have James, who's a digital activist. We have Winnie, who is in the tech space, in policy making. And lastly, we have Maura, who is the vice president of LSK. So, we're trying to have a conversation on digital activism, and we know that digital activism has undergone a massive transformation, especially in the last couple of weeks during the protests, and it has changed where the manner in which we leverage policies. It has enabled us to, come up with social and political change. And the first question I have is for you, Laura. How has digital activism evolved in Kenya over the past decade, particularly in the light of the protest that has been happening?
Okay. Thanks for that. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So when it comes, I've been a journalist for more than 20 years. And the difference is that when we started out, Facebook had just started. So Facebook was about looking for your old friends from school. And there was nothing really about activism. It was about just social media. So over the years, we started getting celebrities on social who we didn't have access to before, but people that we admire, and then that's what it was all about. But now it became more than that, because organizations started seeing that if you go on social media with the influencer that you like, then you're able to sell whatever service you're selling. You can sell soap, you can sell a school, you can do anything you want to do. But now, because it's such a very natural way of us interacting with one another, when the...
I need that sense of photo.
Okay, that can't be right. Where's the receipt? How much did they pay? And done.
Faster payments, real-time reports. Visit pesapal.com to get started.
When the protest started, it just got a life of its own. All of a sudden, now, if I want any information, I can actually get it online, because there's somebody who's taken the time to put together whatever is in the ICTA bill, whatever is in the, I don't know, digital, one of the digital bills, even with the finance bill itself, that's where it started. So now, digital activism is basically, one, getting information at your fingertips that you didn't have access to before. So if you paint it that way, then that's really a powerful platform to use, that you can be able to get information, share the same information, consume the information, and make informed decisions based on that.
We know that digital platforms such as TikTok and X Spaces have played such a crucial role in these times, and more people want to understand how they can get into it. James, I know as a digital activist, could you perhaps let us know how someone can advocate for their rights as well as others through digitally? Yeah.
Pardon?
I'm asking how someone can get into digital activism, how they can advocate for their own rights as well as others.
Basically, if you are into tech, you would build an app or a website that puts out information out there, a kind of public participation, civil education kind of stuff, that gives information to Kenyans out there about governance, about law, about constitutionalism, about the rule of law, about how an economy runs, and so on. Social media is easier because just involves getting into, for example, X, opening an account, same as TikTok or Facebook or any other platform that is popular. Then following up on should I say, the opinion makers and the drivers of these conversations, that would influence how you view governance, how you view law, how you view economics, and it would influence how someone expresses themselves in matters to do with governance and so on. But social media is easier than coming up with an app, coming up with a website, and so on.
Maura, I understand we have the freedom of speech, but to what extent can you say what you want online?
The limits on freedom of expression, because that's how it's denoted or quoted within the law, in fact, has to have an overarching effect on other people, because then why would you be expressing yourself to suit yourself? I mean, as I'm expressing myself, I should be able to actually affect the other person or the other group of persons. So to speak, that the limit should be, because not all rights are, are unlimited. There are those that can be limited, and freedom of expression is one of them. But the parameters through which that right can be limited is the observance of the effect of what happens when it is disseminated. So if I say, for instance, I don't like this space. Let me use this space. I don't like this space because I am an alumnus of the Catholic University, so I think I can say it. I really have an honest and a jovial feeling about this institution, but I'm using it as an example. I don't like this institution because it's a Catholic institution. That's my expression. It's an example, yeah? Just for the record. I see my very good dean and aunties here, so I have to qualify it. I have a right to say that expression because that is what I feel. Within the context and environment on the regime of human rights, you have to be able to take it out so that other people can understand what you're saying. And expression as a right, even though it can be limited, is something or is a right that is transient. It has to exist because then without the right to express yourself, then what society are we living in? Are we living in a cube? But because we don't live in a cube, and in the progressive regime of the Kenyan 2010 Constitution and all other enabling legislations that surround that, then for instance, if I were to call you over the phone and say and insult you, then there is a regime of law that says, this is the Kenya Communication Amendment Act, that says it's a misuse of a telecommunication device, which now becomes a criminal offense. But there's another regime for it. I mean, there's another discussion for it. But you can see that the limitations, in fact, are extended to what is permissible by law. If I take my phone and probably I call the Inspector General of Police and I tell him or her that you are such a fool by allowing your police officers to shoot at innocent civilians. Of course, I have insulted him or her, and is it permissible within the law? It is an argument which is on a slippery slope because I have actually told him the truth on one end, let's say, or her, but on another end, I have actually injured their personality. Between me and them, they are offended, or he or she is offended. But is it permissible? My correct answer is yes, because the extent or the measure to which the limitation operates is to permit that to be said. Because on one end, there is an injury that is permanent. What is that injury? There are police officers who have killed innocent, peaceful protesters. And it's a fact. So when you say you express yourself, if you are not allowed to express yourself, then you could imagine the explosion that will come when everyone is now tired of bottling up whatever they are supposed to express themselves. So it is a right which, in my opinion, is extremely important in the social democratization of a nation. If you cannot speak, if you cannot express yourself, I was just laughing about it the other day that we were coming from a time when imagining the death of a president. Remember, imagination is partly transient expression. You are imagining, I'm imagining a nice lunch today. Now,
Hi, I'm just asking, can we start contributing
Yeah,
to
sure.
the topic?
Okay.
Okay. Hi. Okay, sorry for that. Hi everyone. So this was my points, first of all. And correct me if I'm wrong. But if you master the politics of
massacre the constitution by virtue of the numbers he has accumulated in parliament. That motherfucker is 400 strong in parliament. Unanipata? That guy has massacred the constitution, amechukua the opposition. They are now in bed together. Whatever those guys would do between now and 2027, I don't know. In matters looting public resources, I don't know. I don't know. We are the official opposition. Even the media is not with us because they are now hiding some things. I was with someone here. I heard someone here say ile time walienda huko Mukuru, the bodies that were retrieved from the pit were not the numbers that were given to newsrooms. You've had the president 2 weeks ago saying that the number of people that were shot is 6 when the number was as high as 13. Guys, we need to formalize ourselves.
That we can be able, those who will not be able to travel to Nairobi, those who will not be able to reach Nairobi can get live coverage. you as PP market and also tell the people from ideas of what way you as an individual has. Then we as a people, we don't know what will happen, but we need a reliable source. We need a reliable source that we can be able to get information. We can be able to feed the true information. We can be able to know that we can be able to conduct and tell other people also that this is the way forward we need to work as people. So and our strength should be media, because our strength should be also getting information. So you have started a good job. You have started something. They always say that the person who dream and does nothing about it is just the person who is like somebody who is like a dead person. But if you dream of something and you try to make a step, you can be able to make something working out. So let's do a trial. PP, I want us to do a trial of 8 of 8 so that you can be able to mobilize with other people. Idea, who have the same ambition, who have the same goal, so that on 8th of August, you can be able to come up with a media team, a team that can be able to give us the feeds, can feed the people, because I'm pretty sure that our local media the feeds of everything that shall be happening. So you have to start even a dream. This is the chance that you can take as an individual and look for a team that we can be able to work together with. So Mimi, I'm just happy being here, and you need to start planning, because I don't trust this local. I don't trust Citizen TV. I don't start even. They went to bed with them. The last protest, people to unsubscribe from their channels. We need to unsubscribe from their channels so that we can be able to tell them that we are the people who are making you to be there. Because if we can be able to have people who we cannot rely on them, what is the essence of us being with them? That is the thing that we need to do. We need to run with the people, with the media that we know we can be able to run with them, rely with them, we can be able to work with them, can be able to. I'm challenging you that you need to come up with a team. Make a budget, make a proposal, make a plan, so that on 8th, that mandamano, since morning to the next day, people should be getting feeds live. Thank you.
Asante sana, and your submission is actually 1 minute right into the top of the hour. Asante sana kwa hiyo, and I'll take it, Bob Williams. I've actually tweeted it out that on 8th of August, there is a high chance that the media might give us a blackout. That is one sad reality that has just set upon me, guys. Kuna chances that media inaweza kosa kutu cover on 8th of August. So what happens in the event of that? Nataka tujue tutajipanga vipi kufanya haya mambo, kwa sababu kuna mimi pale na host space, watu wanasema eti ukihost space ni tunaku. Mbona mwambii Citizen wakihost live mtawaripoti kwa YouTube? Why is it that tukijaribu kuhost space and FB live, so long as you get people informed? Na kama any citizen journalist, link up with me. I want to talk to you about this thing.
imeendaje?
Niko salama nashukuru. Last time nilikuwa hapa ni Mandiro nilikuwa napiga na ulini shut down vibaya sana bana. Otherwise wase mkwaje watu wangu. It's great. It's good to see you guys and thank you very much Peter and the co-host DK Gift for giving me this chance to speak on the space. I have a question to ask Dida. Dida, which county do you come from? And yeah, please just answer that first before we continue. Which county do you come from?
That is a guy mwenye I've been kumreach to make my grievances known to him, but sijampata. The only way out is whatever we've been doing in terms of just expressing displeasure publicly. But bado tuko on his case. Tuko on his case.
Okay.
We can,
All right.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah. My second goes to my second 8th or on eve of the 8th or before that event, because there's some other hosts who have been pushing for one big space for all of you who have you guys who call yourselves I don't know big what they call themselves, big wigs. Yes. Big wigs. So why don't you guys have one big space, all of you, moving forward, or either on 8/8 or on the eve of the 8/8? Pipi.
Okay, so for me, I will speak like a technocrat. Kama fundi wa mitambo wa spaces.
Nice.
Mute mic yako. Wacha hata nicheze jingle, nilikuwa nimesahau kuintroduce show na imefika top of the hour.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pippy.
You're listening to Home Run with Pippy, ladies and gentlemen, comes to you each and every day, 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. We are on our final show of the week. But don't you worry, Saturday night, 8 p.m., Home Run Extra. Be here to come and share your thoughts. If you didn't get it to the mic today or this week, we give you a chance to talk to us that over the night. Hiya. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, I want to tell you that Home Run with Pippy is also supported by you, the listener. If you like what you're doing, there's a tip jar line hapo hivi juu ya kutu support. Now, let me go back to what Dako. Unakumbuka ile siku president alikuja kwa spaces? The space had over, I think, 300,000 people. And there were only 10 speakers. And the 10 speakers, we killed them because there were how many people? Osama Otero, Jean Brenda alikuwa hapo. So there were a couple of people there, right? The shortfall of having a one singular space which means at any given point a space can only of that nane nane. Okay? And if so yeah, for me, what I do not have a problem with maybe Samsung ama iPhone Pro. Mimi natumia, nikisema mtanichekelea. Twitter haina hiyo capacity ya kuhost. Twitter haina hiyo capacity ya kuhost 100,000 people. 100,000 people. Unacheki? So
I didn't expect that actually.
Allow me to kuongeza on point moja. Second reason, and it kind of ties with the first, is space together. Somewhere Juja, but pia anakuanga Twitter, ama ni Lilian anambaye akona saloon anakuanga somewhere in Machakos. Every single one of those people, small, big, it doesn't matter. Small spaces allow more people to be heard and more impactfulness. So me, I think personally, me niko very against your idea ya kufikiria ati a single space somewhere it'll bring out a more unified voice. It's actually going to mute more voices than amplify them. Pipi songa nayo.
Hapo sasa wacha niwaachilie kwanza na kale kanaitwa refresher.
Analando nyinge simbolito da onge gimaluoro makatondiki ruto analando nyinge